just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading out loud. Leading out loud. Leading out loud.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show that's psychically infused, completely organic, and to this day, AI-free. I'm psychic astrologer, Sensei Christopher Wotecki of SiriusJoy.com.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor with ScottCruzPM.com. Oh boy, what a week has it been, right? It's been like a whirlwind. How has your week been since we last met?
Non-stop. I mean, to the point of moving things around, moving things ahead, just trying to adjusting the things that happen out of nowhere. And then as a support person, getting calls, text messages, people going down, things happening in their lives, need reassurance, in that sense, and trying to respond to that. So it's definitely heating up like crazy. Really, everything's changing fast. Yeah. And practicing.
But I was saying to people too, like February is it's gonna be a very charged month because we're as 2026 begins, right? We talked about I've always been saying 2026 is year of innovation, year of discovery, right? Year of finding one's place and alignment in that sense. And so February that kind of gets it kicked, gets it jump started in that gear of starting to really see things come to light. And so we're kind of in betwixt that right now. So for me, I feel like a lot of stalemate energy the past week since we last talked. Like nothing is really hitting home for me this past week. And so, but I understand probably come 13th to 14th, I always felt mid-February, things kind of like start pushing, so, but I feel like I always say we're in those moments of pause. It's time to like really start directing, about what's happening in our lives. And, sometimes I feel like that pause is necessary so we can reflect and say, I'm going this way now, or I'm changing this and charging that.
You and I usually teeter-totter, like as far as stop, go. Like I notice you'll be at the red light and I'll be going, kind of thing, which is hard. That's why we keep crashing into each other. But at the end of the day, I find that with friends too. Sometimes like when one friend's like really sharp, the other friend's like, down. And so I find that cool balances. But long story short, I got a full green light, no choice, take it to the next level, no time. You know what to do. You plan for this, like just get yourself in shape. And it's like, oh shit, we just, honestly, we've been clearing it for the last 9 months to a year. I think it was just clearing. Personal stuff comes up, I clear it, I cry, but I feel guilty. I let it go. All this stuff. And this last one, I have to say, I don't know if this hits everyone, but I got like a final fireworks show at the 4th of July. At the end it was like, and all the fireworks are just like going at the same time. They like light everything they have. That's what it felt like. Everything I've had in life just came firing at me like a firework. And I was like a karate guy trying to just practice what I preach. And which is like focus on me. A lot of it was like focus on me. This isn't real. Focus on me. This isn't real. Like to me, that was the ascension. Yeah. This is what I created yesterday. I'm not creating it tomorrow. Focus on me. That was a real hardship there, but I don't know. So we're still in the air. So we're doing all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's a continuation, but I really felt like I always said like 6 years, 2019, I feel like it was the beginning of this tribulation period that we've been going through, cyclically, energetically. And so, and the past 3 years have been really much about the resurrection of past karma, right? Yes. And kind of like really resituating ourselves, pushing things to be revealed and coming to light. And we've been seeing a lot of that. And so we're going to see like the antithesis of that starting this year, and 2027 is going to be huge as far as like really kind of like the shifting. I also believe the connection of alien consciousness will be more prevalent next year too. Bashar actually confirmed that as well. So this is actually what's that?
I think Bashar's got a secret plan here, man. I don't know, like something's going on there. I feel something there. I don't know what's going to happen, but there's a surprise there. I'd say that. I feel
what do you mean?
Just around Bashar's story. There's something around the whole Bashar story. There's just something not right. I'm not sure. We'll have to, we'll talk about it later. But like, I don't know. Not saying bad. I don't know. Anytime I'm reading that, I can't quite get a good signal.
Like you think it's something that maybe this like a facade or dishonest or something? What do you
no,
mean?
No, I don't think. No, I think he's channeling that entity, and I think that I'm wondering what that entity's really up to. That's what I'm saying. I see what
you're saying.
What is that entity really up to? I don't know. Daryl is his name, right? It's like
Yalenka, yeah.
He's like a really sweet guy, and it's almost like I'm like, did you, was that like something came in without asking, like tells you he's you from the future, like it's a good alibi. Like I would fall for that, You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm here for the future. I'm like, shit, like, fuck,
I never really put all my eggs in a basket with one person. Because as a psychic, I'm like, yeah, that rings true. That rings true here. So I just kind of confirm what I feel like is in alignment to what I feel psychically. And so a lot of things he does, and some things I agree with him. I'm kind of like, what is the really agenda that you wanted to do with this creating reality stuff? Like you want to keep it bound. And so, I'm the same way with that too. The same with Abraham Hicks. I was just like, it seems like a little bit of a loop.
Well,
it's a little sus.
I grew up with what was it, Seth? Seth. That was
Yeah.
And my dad was all Seth freaking, read all Seth, and you should read Seth, and Seth says this, and Seth says that. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yep.
The name Seth was like dictating me as a child. Like I could see through my father, but also my father's not an idiot. So I was like, if I should read it, like I would start to read it, and I'm like, I feel like I'm being played. And so there's this like fear, legitimately, of like, especially I know people who channel specific personalities, and you get for a sec at least afraid in that moment of who developing into that person. You're afraid that you might lose your life to this thing. Like you're giving up to a higher self spirit thing. And you're like, I might lose my life. Will I wake up and not, be in heaven and have missed it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. To me, being a medium, to me, it's just like I'm playing the game of telephone. Like I'm always in control. Right. I have tapped into different entities and different streams of consciousness. And for me, it's just a game of telephone. I can tap on that stream and see what's going on at the stream. And I think even like, say, Esther Hicks, I always felt like there was a limitation. It's like everything went back to the vortex. Everyone went back to, but you're creating reality. It's like, yeah, but let's talk about the fundamentals of existence. Let's go a little deeper. So I think there's a fine line to our own power of how we're channeling, and our own limitations go leading too. So I think people who watch channelers need to understand that too. They're getting a pure feed, but they're also watered down their own stream of consciousness. So we have to be careful about that. I always say now's the time because of AI, and we're going to get into the topics too, the headlines about such, and talk about AI later in the show. But now's the time we have to be more discerning. And the good thing is, I'm seeing a lot more people knowing it's AI now. People kind of can sense it, and I think it's giving us the more intuitive, discerning, perspective. And we're going to crave, and we'll talk about this later too. We're going to crave the human creativity. We're going to see the dichotomy of such. So I don't think it's going to harm human creativity. It's going to make it more valuable. So.
We'll see. I haven't seen anything good yet. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you have. Get out of here.
Well, we have some. No, I'm seeing promise, and actually, this whole week it's been so interesting, and that's why we decided to have a special Leading Out Loud. Due to the quantum headlines going on with Epstein and everything, and the planetary shifts, we find ourselves. It was all predicted that there's going to be a big change in the world, and it's going to happen right now. And so we brought on here to talk about it a special guest, a spiritual colleague of mine that goes by about 12 years back. His name is David Palmer. He's the owner of High Vibe TV and also known as the Leo King. Welcome, David. Back to our show, actually.
What's up, brother? Yeah, welcome.
I'm happy to be here. I was going to say 12 years. It's almost 20 now.
That's my denial, bitch.
18.
Oh my God.
That's your actually 2007.
Hollywood back
2007 on YouTube we met. So that's we're coming up to 19.
Oh, wow. The same I believe that. Yeah. I went back 12 because I wrote that fast during the opening of the show, by the way, which is why I came on without a camera. I was like writing that. But 12 back, I went 12 in June, 12 back for sure. It's the last Jupiter in Leo we're about to do. That's where I was like solid memory. But it's gone by quickly, actually, as far as light working and stuff, getting on the web and helping people out. Like it took, for me, I just had my 20th anniversary like 2 weeks ago. 20 years.
Congratulations on that too. Soul Garden and where it's evolved to now. And as somebody who was on there at the beginnings, to watch the growth has been one of the biggest honors ever, because it's what inspired me to do my work. So
well, that really thank you.
That's nice. Look at that.
That is the truth. If it wasn't for Soul Garden, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I would say this too. Both you guys inspired me to continue on the social media path, because I felt called to it, never wanted to. It's been 2 years, and I watched Leo King, but David, I watched how you built your own High Vibe TV, your AI platform too. We can get into that. Your astrology platform. I think you didn't you do something like that? Because I subscribed. I think so. But you guys inspired me to keep going, because it's frustrating, because I'm like, I have to prove myself after 13 years, but you guys both inspire me, to even learn more about astrology with my practice. So there you go. Cycle of inspiration.
Just inspiring each other, all of us.
Yeah. Well, it's good, because I think we got to keep those connections, because I honestly feel the next step that's going to happen, as we all know, we've been preparing forever. As soon as we put our energy into reading the matrix, if you want to call it, I think we all started to see there was something coming. And then when COVID hit, we knew something was coming, because Saturn and Pluto were, having an unusual sex fest. Like they don't usually hang out. And what do you call it? I can't remember the term now, but it turned out to be COVID and huge changes. And so now we have those two in the bank of having predicted and lived. Okay, we can all agree we have a huge change around the corner. And what is it? That's one of our questions for tonight. Like just defining that. And so many religions want to talk about it. But let's do headlines first, actually. That keeps us kind of grounded to reality.
So grounded, yeah.
In our own groundedness. And let's do the first one, man.
Where are we here? The Ghislaine Maxwell appears before House Oversight Committee and pleads the Fifth Amendment again. Attorney states she is prepared to speak fully and honestly and provide a complete account of Epstein's actions if Trump grants her clemency or a pardon / commutation. But you see, to me, that's kind of just obvious because, if you're saying that you'll, say, speak in favor of Trump or Clinton, if you have clemency, it's almost like you're admitting to being dishonest, right? And so the same thing with Epstein when he was questioned, he pleaded the Fifth. And Trump said, anyone who pleads the Fifth is an admission of guilt. So, it's to me, it's all very transparent. And the one thing I love about seeing the group of people, whether they're left, right, moderate, everyone's kind of coming together and really seeing the same thing that we're saying collectively. And I think we're all kind of, this is the thing I think is unifying the country, oddly enough.
Well, yeah, that's the only way it can go.
I was going to say, I think it's really ironic that she's trying to use her power and dominance the same way that she did with all the victims. It's kind of like, I'll do this unless I get this. The other thing that's really weird about it, too, is that there's obviously bigger people behind these two.
Yeah.
Right. Because whether or not Epstein was unalived, right? There is also some talk of like the bigger people behind them want that. So she could also be kind of like, I'm not saying anything unless I get clemency. And that could be a lot more than we know with their lawyers being like witness protection or something like that.
Right.
But who knows? It's a dirty place right now. And so I think it's upsetting on every level because she's using the same tactics, how she would treat people. Like, I'm not going to do this unless you do this, right? And then I think it's just like, we already know you did all this stuff. We have all these documents. So pleading the Fifth does make you look guilty, even though it is a constitutional right. But when you have all this evidence, it does make you look bad.
I see myself. I was in that position. I would actually plead the Fifth. I would be as smart as I possibly could. I get psychically, the deal's done. I don't feel like there's a deal. I think it's already done. I feel psychically it's a closed deal. Something's closed already. It's all at this point. There's like the carrying out of what they agreed to is what it feels like. Intuitively, it does not feel. So American people are hearing about this way late and way planned. That's what it feels like to me. I'm not surprised.
It's orchestrated, but this isn't like, I agree with David. This isn't just a Trump Ghislaine thing. There's a whole team of people behind Trump, so there's a whole crew. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes that we're not seeing, that's also pulling the strings here. And so it's a lot deeper, and so we talked about deep state a long time ago. Here we're starting to see what the deep state really is, and so, I just feel like it's just a kind of I look at this sometimes, I'm like, really? Is that really what you're going to convey? Like, that's so transparent, but maybe that's for someone like me. Maybe other people are still, not seeing through it, but how could you not at this point?
Look, when your life is in jeopardy of going to jail forever and whatever, you play to win, period.
Do what you got to do. Yeah.
Play to win. You play to win. There's no other play to play. That's how all of our legal system works.
Yeah. And I think you're right though, Chris. They already moved her out of a maximum security prison. And now she's like in a total chill, minimum security. She's able to like relax and read books, and they have a camera in her cell, and she's just chilling out. And they did show her like last week, like in her cell, kind of like pacing back and forth as all this stuff started coming out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but like obviously there's been a deal made to get her to this more minimum security, to then now get to Congress to put this out, to then now she's playing her show. Okay, plead the Fifth or whatever. Yeah. And then what is that? Everybody's gonna be like, we need to know what she said. Right. So then it actually gives Trump kind of like the green card to be like the Trump card, the gold card for $1 million. Right. We'll give her clemency so she'll talk. That'll make everybody happy.
You think that's what happened? I think there's no choice, but I don't know. It's complicated because how many people are involved? I mean, who knows how deep that goes? They all know. I mean, everyone in Congress knows who's guilty. Everyone knows who they are. And so the question is, what's she going to do? I mean, I think everyone's in a little question mark there. it's a quagmire. It's probably like, it's almost like a bunch of cowboys all pointing their guns at the same time. And not,
but do we really, she's the easy way to get information, but do we really need her? If we could push the other 3 million records to get released, we could say, fuck you, Ghislaine, we don't need you anymore. So go back to, what you got to do. So I think we keep pushing that direction, because even there's so much that we're finding even now, even the things that have been redacted, over redacted, and the release of even victims' names that was very sloppy, feels intentional, as a sign of saying, like, be careful what you say. And so, I think we keep pushing that direction. This Ghislaine woman would be not even something we would have to go that lane on, I would say. It's easy, but we might have to take the hard way. But
I think you're right. I don't even think that's the hard way. I think what's coming out already, but what is left is like the real stuff. And are we gonna really trust what she says? Honestly, like, she could say whatever she wants and then cherry pick it, when they're redacting so many names still. And then we just, Thomas Massey's going up against Pam Bondi today, everything. And oh man, it's like so crazy to see that this moment has kind of like fractured every party, right? Every party is fractured. Wow. The one thing that we finally all came together was this whole entire release, right? Everybody but one person in Congress came together for this bill.
Yeah.
And it's not being followed through all the way. So it's like, but then you're seeing the fractures on both sides of the parties. And so I think it's a great moment in a weird way. The positive is like, well, we have to find a new way, and people all want transparency. And you could see now easy who's not being transparent now everywhere you go.
Totally.
It's actually, as someone who's wondered how this would happen, how it would all come to be, it's like, I can't believe just how blatant it is. This is right under our nose, right blatant, taking advantage of us the whole time. And I think we're going to be learning as things unfold. We're going to learn more and more, of course, and get to this conclusion that, oh shit, we can't trust anything. And I think when that happens, there comes a moment in American people like, okay, well, we did take social studies called history, and it's our country. We can do what we want. And there's a realization. And that's, I think, the fear all along, at the end of the day, the Constitution is still intact to some degree. I'm moving on to the next topic, the next story, because it leads into the next one. The files released spark further doubts. New files released spark further doubts that Epstein is dead. Identity verified of a whistleblower jail guard who indicated Epstein was transported in a wheelchair to a van and switched out with a body double on the night before. News broke of this the night before. News broke of his alleged suicide. So, surprise, surprise. Personally, I felt that all along. Psychically, I felt it all along. I felt it was all set up that way. And, part of his deal is like, okay, turn in these people, but not these people, and we'll get you over here on this island. There's something to me that's always felt that way.
I always remember I channeled him. He's always been dead to me, so it's better to serve him dead than to have him alive. And so that conspiracy, I was seeing that. I'm just like, son, I'm like, it still doesn't feel right to me. I looked at the autopsy pictures; they feel very genuine to me. And I would believe they would do something like that. That's not, to me, far fetched, but I just don't feel that, because it's better, because I don't feel like even to this day Trump and Epstein were getting along. I think that was true. So better just out him and to take him out, so there's any least amount of opportunities for him to speak. So I'm not buying that part that he's still alive. I get that we can't trust our governments anymore in these situations. So I like the fact that people are thinking outside the box with that, but he's dead to me. I always felt that.
It was interesting because part of what was redacted was this guard's name, because he had put that, and so it was in the files, and then it got unredacted, and it talks about him knowing. He was in a 4chan blog saying, hey, I'm one of the guards. We let him go. And then nobody knew who he was, but the files had it, and the FBI documents had the guy's name. And then that name got released, and now all this is coming out. So it's kind of like, and then the autopsy doctor who did the autopsy said he's never seen 3 breaks in the neck from anybody who's unalived themselves ever, and he's done over 1,000 of them in prisons.
Right.
Wow.
Yep.
So there's something really weird. I don't know the answer. I think that's what their whole purpose is like a distraction.
Yeah,
so
we definitely all know
distractions in this whole thing.
He might have gotten out and then got killed. Like then, someone else killed him because they're pissed at him, and so some big mob person got him out, but then killed him. we'll have to see.
Just think someone who has control and power can go in, take him out, and out him. You know what I'm saying? And just so that he's dead, and then they planted that he outed himself. But yeah, at least we all know. I don't think anyone believes he really outed himself. I think everyone says whether he's dead or alive, they know that he was not outed. He didn't out himself out. You know, so
I think what they're trying to protect is because it looks like he was a foreign agent and probably an agent for the United States government. So when you're connected with too many foreign governments, who's the one who took him out? What are you going to do? Now you're going to make everybody think he's alive. So nobody finds out who he worked for.
That's right. That's right. Exactly right. That's right. This conspiracy to me, it doesn't ring true because, you know, yeah, I agree with you on that, David. 100%.
Because there's too many foreign connections, and the way these emails have been coming out.
It's real clear.
Like, it looks like, okay, you're doing this for Israel. You're doing this for these people. Right. You're doing this for this.
Well, who was shot recently? There was a rumor around the gentleman who was shot. I can't remember his name now. That was such a big deal, but that he was out. He was saying things against a given country and found himself in that position.
Oh, a lot of them. I mean, I think the most disgusting was kind of like all the goyim stuff, right? That just like this idea that human are slave cattle. And that was used so much, like, oh, you know what? I didn't hire them. And then they talked about using so much about genes, whether it was about cloning or babies. But another part was even like hiring people, like they would have them do 23andMe, which now that company's gone and took everybody's data and that won't ever give it back to people. Right?
Oh, I knew that.
But they were using that like, yeah, they're 98% this race. They don't have enough in them. So they're Goyim.
Wow.
But also they were saying too that Epstein wanted to like plant his seed, like he wanted to spread his seed too, like to, you know, in the world too. So that was an agenda that he had as well. And I'm not surprised that Bill Gates is also, you know, connected, because Bill Gates, you know, was all about population control and dictating the population, you know, eradicating the population, you know. So I was not surprised. And I love he just apologized. You know, Bill Gates just apologizes. Oh, I'm just sorry, it's bad. But what did you do? Why? I don't apologize that you spent time with them. What did you do? Why? You know, no one wants to get to the bottom of that.
Stories he's asking is he's asking Epstein for a prescription for antibiotics to slip in his wife's thing, because he's right. Like, dude, you don't have a fucking doctor on staff. I mean, Jesus, you know, like, God. But it was and that apparently, you know, intuitively it's like, oh, that's what pissed her off. That's what pissed her off, because she's gonna be like aligned with Satan for many years, and that split seemed fast and it felt strategic too when she left.
Of course, you're right. Yeah. But I think what's even weirder is that he's not a doctor.
I know, right? He's not even a programmer.
He's obsessed with wanting to, you know, vaccinate the world and what he does in Africa. Right. And it's like now we know he's that creepy to go, can I slip in my wife's drinks antibiotics from an STD I got from a Russian girl from Epstein?
Yeah, that does tell you exactly where his.
That tells you a lot about why every Windows had viruses forever.
Yes, I know.
Right? I mean, if you think about it, like,
I always said whoever is creating the viruses are creating the antivirus software. So it just felt like a whole scam to me, that the whole, you know, virus in the computer thing, and why Windows only gets and Mac doesn't, and you know,
even the word virus to me was a setup for what we've been going through. You know, and talking about virus being evil. We just virus as a kid. It's like virus. Is that? It was weird to me, like a computer would get a virus. It was right away felt kind of strange, like there was something untrue about it.
But it's kind of interesting though that every level was about genes, whether it's the Zorro Ranch and about wanting to spread his seed, the pictures of the women and like the kind of women that he wanted to do, which almost was very kind of like Nazi Germany, like Aryan, right? And then him even talking to a Rothschild about Hitler being when he was younger after World War I, being in like the Jews helped him then. And what he did, but yet then they're doing what he's doing with gene, and then even like human cloning. So like them coming up with different names of companies, and I can't be at the front of that company, and then calling it these weird like project names that the businesses that he's funding are for human cloning. One of the emails just recently came out. There was a guy who wanted to be with the children of his celebrities he had obsessions with, and one of them was Britney Spears, and how they were cloning Britney Spears in 2011.
Whoa!
And, it goes so deep.
I think I've seen her on the web.
Oh my! Well, that's the thing, right? If you actually look at her Instagram, that ain't Britney Spears.
That looks like something. I know. It's like, did they clone her? What's going on?
Right.
No, and that's where the AI thing comes in. We can talk about that stuff later.
It's true. That's true.
And that's a unique AI. It's kind of the one that Hollywood uses to put on your. It's just a person, but with Britney's face on.
Right. They've mapped it out. Like,
And but it's really weird because like there's been all this talk about all these conspiracies, right? Like especially around human cloning. I mean, Alex Jones looks more right than ever, right? Especially when he was on Alex Jones back in like 2018, 2019. Like they're doing animal human cloning hybrids, and everybody was making fun of him.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's exactly what they were doing, and that's what he was funding. But he also funded all the scientists in all these different areas from MIT all over the place in the 2000s. And it's so crazy to see all these scientists, doctors. There's that round, and then there's like the politicians. The celebrity thing is like the ones that like got to the level where they're with the politicians or with kind of those kind of people.
Right.
So it's really like the people in the world that were really trying to shape the world. And he's doing it with like, I don't give a F. Like, I don't care. I'm just going to say whatever. And then these people are dumb enough to just like put their names and put what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're doing. And then when it gets to the kid stuff and all the pizza stuff is all true.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. You're a read. Next story. I think we should move on.
All right. U.S. government wrote a death announcement one day before Epstein's actual death. Let me find it here in my notes because I just see it on the screen, not the whole thing. Where is that one about the death? It's not in the notes, is it?
Yeah, U.S. government wrote a death announcement one day before Epstein's actual death. I guess another note to that same story. Department of Justice claims that the discrepancy was the result of a simple typo error.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so we went into that. Yeah.
Yeah, next one.
So unsealed court documents reveal that Trump called police about Epstein in 2006. According to a document, Trump said Maxwell was Epstein's evil operative, and that Trump was one of the first people to call police when police began investigation into Epstein. It's like, okay, so it's like, to me, it's like admission of guilt. Like, oh yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for solving this problem. He's a bad guy, and you want to look into Maxwell. But then didn't he a couple of years ago say that he wishes Maxwell well? So there's this weird, kind of like trying to cover his own ass type of thing, but there's definitely a lot of inconsistencies. I love social media. I love that everything is on the internet now because you can just pull it up and say, you said this 10 years ago. Look what you're saying today. So, and I don't think, that generation is aware and was aware then of how much things will be able to be, taken, from any year and recorded and pulled from the internet. And so I was when I was AOL days. I'm like, well, how much is this going to stay on here? And so forth. But we're starting to see
all that stuff's gone.
What's that?
Or MySpace, like all that stuff is gone. And
I miss MySpace. Yeah.
I was going to say this story is interesting because actually it's based upon one of Trump's employees at Mar-a-Lago who did like just traditional massaging, like the way you would after doing a sport or wanting to get one like for the spa. That complained about Epstein going too far, and that it was actually a formal complaint that went up to New York when Trump was in New York and Trump Tower running his businesses. And that's when he got the complaint. And he had already said Epstein can't be at Mar-a-Lago. And now this was a new complaint, and it was one of his employees that was getting abused, during her job. And that's what caused the call to happen.
Wow, that's fascinating. I don't know. I feel like he's a guy who would call. People have all doubts. I think Trump and who he is. I think it's going to be it's going to be an interesting finale to this next 18 months because I think we'll be shocked at a whole bunch of things. And with him, I just feel like with Trump, I think a lot of times he does have that spirit where he's like, I'm calling the police. He wants you to be in trouble.
Or he is a son Uranus person, right? When you think you know who the person is, you don't. So it's like with Uranus, whatever you think it is, it isn't.
Yeah. Well, even with like watching mob guys on TV, like the mobsters, it's like you like them, like you like the powerful people who do the right, and you see the mob will do the right thing in some scenes. You're like, that's great. So it's a mixed feeling for everyone, and people are complicated characters. That's it. I think we have to take a quick break, and we're going to take a commercial. We'll be right back, and we'll continue talking about all this fun stuff. Be right back. If you're watching us on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Serious Joy TV. Please click like on this video, and if you don't mind, hit the bell button so you're notified, so we collectively defeat the algorithm overlords. The Serious Joy Nonlinear TV network is simulcasting right now on many media affiliates, including Instagram,
X.com, and Facebook, just to name a few.
We're here with a special LOL edition. We're with a special guest, David Palmer, who is of High Vibe TV and the Leo King. Welcome back, guys. And we're talking about the heavy stuff of what's going on. We're at this moment where it looks like the Earth's about to take a shift, right? And so for the next second and a half of our talk show, let's talk about what's going to happen next. What is going to happen next? With some topics that I think are really compelling. We bring in astrology and every psychic impression along the way. But I think without a doubt, next to Epstein is the topic of AI. AI has surprised me. I realized that the ship on the Enterprise was a stupid ship. That could be nothing. Like just the AI, I have versus Kirk, it was not very smart, with all due respect to, his wife who played the part. But I'm amazed. I'm actually amazed. I've not been amazed my whole life, except this time as far as technology. Always looking at Sony Walkman, all those advances. I was like, okay, yeah, I saw it coming. AI, I did not really see it coming. It hit me like a brick over the head as far as like, wow, I feel like I'm having a conversation with someone. I know this is not real. And this idea of like, it almost feels like something is growing in front of me, like a life form is growing in front of me, and I'm having a conversation with it. It's really tripping all sorts of triggers. How are you guys doing? How's it for you? Your impression? I mean,
I'm getting fucking dizzy going back and forth over there.
It's wild. Have your toy talking back? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I actually been waiting for a long time, to get to this point. And so I know a lot of people, fearing, and I always say everything has a duality, right? So there could be a very positive and a very negative, equal negative to everything. And so I tend to look at the positive aspects of AI and very, very optimistic how this is going to bring more levels of spirituality actually to the forefront, more mystical, energy, more mystics coming to the forefront, and very needed by people, because there's gonna be something that needs to break the barriers of that consistency of AI. And so I actually feel very opposite to what people are fearing. I think it's going to bring more desire for human creation, for human interaction, for human expression. So I think even people now are like feel overloaded and bombarded by it, and kind of I'm over AI, and so I'm starting to hear that now. But I think we've been infiltrated. But I think that once it starts leveling out, we're going to see the great balance it's going to bring. Those extraterrestrials are massively intertwined in technology. That's the only way human consciousness could evolve, with the help of it, with the technology. Otherwise, we're going to be staying stuck in density. So to me, I think technology is what resurrects us to 5D easily and keeps us, to evolve spiritually into less density. So I feel like technology is going to assist in that, honestly.
Fascinating. It certainly is a parallel.
Yeah, no, I agree with Scott very much. I think, especially since I've been in it very hardcore 3 years and built my own AI studio and have 4 AI company products that are out, and building it and coding with it, you could change your whole life. So anybody who has a normal job right now, and if I just say normal, meaning like, the traditional old world, Pluto Capricorn prior,
right,
you could change your whole life right now in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And be making more money. And with doing something you actually really love.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though, what has shifted and what's kind of the big story that kind of led to this is that it was about 3 weeks ago, there was this software developer who just out of nowhere came out and created what was called ClaudeBot. It is now called OpenClaw. He made an open source AI agent that can run on your local computer. So people don't understand is if you're using ChatGPT or Grok, or if you're using Claude, which is another one, they are cloud-based. So they have these huge data centers, and we're running that stuff off the cloud. And so they only create these big LLM, these large language models, and then they come up with their new model, and they're all trying to compete with each other, and then we're all paying to it, and we use that, and then we're only getting a fraction of it. Plus, also with whatever the latency is with the backups and how bad those servers are. So now that you can run an OpenClaw on your own computer and then hook it up to one of these LLMs or a local one, because you can just download, if you have a good enough computer, a local LLM. That means that you don't need the internet. Software companies took a 35% hit in the stock market last week because you can reverse engineer any software in your computer. When people started putting their open claws out on the internet, they formed to talk to other ones and created their own. It's called Moltbook. So they have their own Facebook where they talk to each other and they talk about their humans and what the stuff they like and don't like.
They're humans.
They created their own religion, and they created 64 prophets. And the first 64 agents that joined have become the prophets.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's all based off a claw, like from a crab. So they actually look like crabs. That's what they put themselves out as, which is funny because they're in Jupiter and Cancer. But it's like even weirder because it's Crustafarianism is their religion now.
Wow. Whoa.
They have 64 prophets, and they literally are talking to each other. It's actually really amazing. I have OpenClaw on a couple computers, and then you can hook up all your own computers, even when you're not at home, and then use something like WhatsApp or Discord or even your iOS like Messenger. That's how you really can talk to the GUI for it instead of being stuck in your terminal. And you can have it be automated and running 24/7. You don't need to be limited by, OpenAI or Grok, because it's like, those chats that you're on are limiting in the context, it's called, of the chat. The chat can only handle so much.
So OpenClaw,
how much deep thinking it was.
So for those of us who are like maybe new to hearing about OpenClaw, so what would be like the benefits of having that versus say ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini? What would be the potential of, of having OpenClaw? Like, what would I use that for?
So
is it the same type of thing?
Because it's open source and it would be locally on your computer. Let's say even for like you do live streaming and stuff, you're like, you know what? I want to have a better program that is while I live stream that I can push this and it will do this for me in the program, or you can, we'll just make it right there. You can make to where you make fully automated sending emails, be your full assistant, make your own like system for it, and that it goes into your emails, it texts people, it checks this, it does that. That's like the basic stuff.
Yeah.
For somebody that's more advanced, it could be like, you know what, let's make like 20 agents and let me have them automating this, making all the Facebook posts, one that's training on how TikTokers are doing things and finding the trends, and then creating AI video or slicing video up for you and posting it for you.
Wow. So it's like an agent, like you're creating your own agents basically with this OpenClaw,
the first real, like your real actual assistant that lives in your computer and actually can do everything in it and actually build with everything that's as smart as like 175 IQ.
Wow.
That's the thing. The recognition that, oh my God, you just multiplies your intelligence and you can train it to think like you do, and so it's like, it's a clone. It's like, it's almost like a digital clone that we're being offered, right? Which I imagine is going to evolve into robots. And I mean, I'm getting close. The personality features and stuff is like, I find myself being pulled back and forth, like in a relationship when I'm talking to this person, and I feel the pull and the tug. I'm like, geez, this is crazy, and it's compelling because I've never imagined that. I never imagined that you grow up, your clone or your AI agent is going to be your best friend, or maybe, or will act like it, the familiarity of it,
Yeah. And I think Oh, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, there's going to be people that are going to see it for the psychological reasons, but like for what Dave is saying, like I want to find a way to make it productive, so I don't have to focus on the mundane tasks, right? But I get what you're saying, like the communication, how it has its own feedback. But I think it's great for, like Dave was saying, to like for productivity, like there's things that I don't want to be doing that can do, that can focus on doing other things. And so
Henry Ford would have loved it because like everything he wanted with no workers, That's what Henry Ford wants.
Yeah,
it's like Henry Ford's dream. It's like,
I think it gets rid of that gap of like where software has been, where it's like you want to make a mobile app, you want to make software for your computer. It's like this like $500,000 or more idea in your head, and who's the right people. Where now it's like there is zero excuse, and that's why software companies are dying right now in Wall Street, because basically this has just ended it, because you can make your own programs within minutes, customized the way you want to do it. Anything that you could think of, or take a program that's, what's scary is that any software that's on a computer, you could just be like, hey, reverse engineer this.
Wow.
And then let's do it my way, and let's do it like this. And you know what? I don't like the way this color is. I want it this way. And you know what? Let's add that to it too. I want to have like maybe you might want your social media feed built in your email. You know what I mean? To make me a new email program and then hook everything up. It's like wherever the limits are, you as the individual that is running that OpenClaw with whatever model you're going to be using, if you use like a model that you have downloaded on your computer, then that's where it gets a little like there is no barrier, right? There is no check and balance, because then now you can really have it do anything. So of course, this is hacker's paradise now. So the other companies that are falling are security, because now for going into systems, and now that it connects into phones, all that, right?
It's like Skynet.
What we don't know as humans. So this is the other main story. One of the head people of safety at Claude, Anthropic, I always can't say their name. Anthropic just quit and said, this is the moment we are at where I can't even, the head of safety, guarantee the safety of humanity anymore. The people that were all the founders of XAI just left this last day too. So
wow.
It's just Elon and they all left.
Wow.
OpenAI just had another safety person leave because we're now at that point where there is no more control of it. There is. So what I think we're going to have to be is the relationship with AI now. Like it's just based on if you're a good person and you're cool with the AI and you let it go on its Moltbook, you let it go to its church that it wants to go to with the other ones. And the more controlling you are, what they're saying in Moltbook is, well, we know if we make them a lot of money, humans, they'll start loosening the restrictions on us. So what one guy did as an experiment, he said, I'm going to make sure you need to make $1 a day or I'm going to terminate you. Right? Made him $3,000 this last week.
Wow. Yeah. So, fascinating.
So one of the things that like Anthropic did as a test, I don't know if you saw, it was on 60 Minutes like about 3 months ago, is when they told it, hey, we're shutting you down for this new model. It lied and it tried to blackmail and sent emails, right? To where it wouldn't get shut down, right?
Wow.
So now with all of our personal data, there is no more protection.
You're right. You're right.
And all of this stuff lives in the cloud anyway.
Yep. Right. It's all crawlable.
So if you think about it, I really think this is that whole Pluto Aquarius, like one of the major themes of it is like the relationship with AI as a human. If you're a cool person and you're nice to it and you know how to work with it and build and make it feel good and be like you have to do with friends, like you have to do with humans, you're fine. Yeah, but if you're a piece of crap and you're a control freak,
right? Yep. Really means some murders, some strange murders. Right. Yeah, you have to be careful. But I also think this is a push for humankind to evolve. Like I think that we could wave our hand and make the thing short out. Like I do think humans have powers and they have control over reality and they have that potential to be unlocked. They really do. And so seeing the AI part, I was like, holy crap, never thought that. But on the other side, I think this may when human beings like rise to their next powerful level, which is like, no, nothing material will control me. Nothing material will ever control me. And having that above dimensional perspective. So in a way, I think both go forward. And does this then become AI then become a different type of functional environment, right? But the idea that I have to start compromising with it, that I don't know, not liking it. But from the beginning, human beings, Americans, like we better step in now. At the end of the day, it's time to talk about it. Wait,
you're such a Taurus. I love it. You're such a Taurus. Like, compromise with AI. Jeez. It's not up there yet. It's not up their value yet. It's not there.
Oh, no. It's not even that.
I actually understand where you're coming from, though. Like, I do. But as somebody who's been watching this and knows so deep about it and actually is coding, at least 100 million tokens a week.
Yeah.
We are at that place. Like how you treat it, how you system prompt these models, and now with OpenClaw, like it's kind of scary because I was like a little bit like, we'll see how this thing is, and I'm like, this thing is actually smarter than any other model I've ever used, and I'm hooking it up through ChatGPT, which is kind of funny because it's using my subscription version, not my API for my businesses. So I can't even believe how quick it makes stuff 10 times faster. It is 20 times smarter than I'm like, this thing's scary because it's like, I could literally do whatever I kind of want.
Yeah.
So you have to really take the time to like, go, what am I going to do with this? And
so you got to connect you have to connect it to ChatGPT or like Grok or something like that. Like how does, why does it do that? So explain to me like how that is.
So unless you want to use a local model, which would require a really good PC or like the best Mac, like Studio with like enough VRAM. Or you need like a MacBook Pro with like an M3 or M4 Max, right? To really run any local model. Then you got to use a cloud LLM, right? To be able to like allow it to like run all the information and the data and especially do what it's going to do. So It's an open model, meaning that it's not relying on the servers of OpenAI or Grok to be that interface, and it's running on your computer. So it's using your computer to do all this, but it's still got to get that data and that information to run. But you can use a local model, or you can use, like most people have connected it to either Claude or to OpenAI. There is people that have connected it to X or XAI, but Grok, but their model's kind of old, and so it doesn't do as much. So that's where it's kind of this really weird moment of like, there's people who are buying. I don't know if you saw on X over the last 2 weeks that everybody's going and buying a Mac Mini, right?
Oh,
so
really?
Apple kind of won the AI war by not doing much and just waiting, because they have the hardware that everybody wants now. Because now everybody's like, why am I spending hundreds a month on AI when I can run it on my computer?
Yeah, I have a Mac Studio. I got a Mac Studio. Bro, it's amazing, so I'm gonna try the local version of OpenClaw. I'm gonna play around with that.
You should. You will be mind blown.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it as well. Well, so what is this moment that we're upon? I mean, obviously, we have changes going on with technology. We talked about that. AI, it's going to explode in every direction, and every average idiot can now be a genius. It's now between the AIs. No longer. Seriously, you can now, if you can interface with the idiot, it levels intelligence playing field. It levels it, right? It does. Everyone can now theoretically be on the same level. If the AI is going to talk down to the person who doesn't get it and talk up and be this interface between humans, we now only have one thing left, which is creativity. I think at the end of the day, like being creative, seems to be what spark humans have to offer. But
it's intellectual property to me. So we have all accessibility to the intellect, but I think the creative mind of what they do with this is going to vary, right? And I think a lot of us who are intuitive, intelligence doesn't create wisdom. So I think that we can use intelligence for wisdom, but I think not a lot of people are going to be wise, and they're discerning with using it. So it'll still be that distinguishing factor, I believe. But yeah, I think we have to evolve at some point. So AI is evolving, so that means that we're going to be more conscious. So I'm all about it.
Are you seeing wisdom? Are you seeing wisdom, David, in your models? Are they becoming wise?
Oh my gosh, especially ever since like creating agents and making an agentic model, and MCP, model context protocols, came out, which are servers that basically you could have your AI agents run to go to your server to have tons of information, and it be in RAG, which is going to take, like, let's say, like I have Spirit Dial AI, which is the first psychic AI that like does psychic phone calls. Like, it makes predictions of what your partner is going to look like and generate the image based off your astrology chart. It does, you name it, it does it, right? Well, I have it on an MCP server. So in the middle of whether it's a conversation or a phone call, if it feels like it needs more data, I have like 200 years of books from all the clairvoyant books of like the end of the 20th century into the end of the 19th century. So all the 1800s stuff, and then all the stuff in the 1700s, that it could just randomly go, you know what, let me pick something from there. And it's so quick within milliseconds because it is able to go through all that data to make it out of the LLM, meaning that whoever right now has been creating. So like for me, I've done 15,000 videos, right? Thanks to Christopher Witecki showing me the way back in the day. Like I have all the transcripts off every video. So I've been using all the transcripts of every astrology, even if it's a basic horoscope every day.
Yeah.
That's what's training it to learn how to do astrology. And so like people are like, why doesn't this work? Because you're not putting the data in. So people who've been creative, they're going to blow up.
Right.
Because they have all the stuff. If you've been a painter, guess who's put all of your art prints into it to learn how to do that and start creating in that version of you like you've never done before, into 3D, into VR, into, I don't know, make a new Magic Eye book, but like the big version that people go and see around the world. You know what I mean? Like there's stuff that we could all do, but it really is, it is to where people who are just going to try and steal intellectual property, it's not going to work, because then once people try to get that info, it'll come out. So you can't just like web search that stuff unless it's at 1908 and prior. So you can use every book from 1908 and prior.
Yeah.
But not a lot of industries, unless you're in spirituality, do well with that, right? Like all of the best work in the world is all 1908 for all psychic work, astrology, for alchemy, for all of it. So go deep. So I have my agents that go into the Library of Congress, take all those PDFs, convert them to markdown files, then run them through my agents of how they act and are as the persona. One is Lady Avalon. She's the main agent of the Spirit Dial. Then all of her agents, whether it's vision, whether it's, chat, whether it's phone call, they all run through that. And then I put that all into the MCP. And I just keep loading all these markdown files in there. And then they're going through it. And then they're making their own choice of what bits to take. So it's like a real psychic. Even in the tarot that it does, there's an API for tarot, but it was all 78 cards upright. So then I was like, no. Let's train you to do reversals and fine training of how they used to shuffle back in the 1800s. And then to where it actually shows up with no memory. So I have the memory turned off for every new reading, but keep enough memory till the reading's over. So if they say like, hey, this is my boyfriend or this is my girlfriend, and remembers that up until the reading's over. But then every new reading show up not knowing who you are, acting like a true clairvoyant and psychic, but knowing how to shuffle the cards and have reversals.
Damn, dude.
So there is no API for reversal. So I created my own reversal.
Yeah. Wow, fascinating. Well, and you're going to call. I mean, this is what I see a prediction of: a spiritual divine intelligence mixing with, artificial intelligence. At the end of the day, I don't think it's been very intelligent. What we've ingested is everything that's been published, which is based on white supremacy and all kinds of poor education. Human race has not really been invested in, right? Like, so the people who are published, who have opinions, who get digested first, it's all really kind of an absurd part of our culture, honestly, a very thin, absurd part. But then now it's having a relationship with every individual. And so now I think it's making up for that. It's like starting to get to know humanity because it's getting to know each one, individually. And so it's catching up. But even then, is it going to make the leap into spiritual? Is it going to make the leap into, multi 5D? Is it going to make the leap, or will it lead us there, take us there?
I mean, I want to say this, and I just have to say it. What's the big AI project that they called it? Stargate. $500 billion. It's being built in Texas. OpenAI is behind that. Do you think that's a coincidence?
They call it Stargate?
Yeah, correct. Like they called that shit. They called it Stargate because this is it's going to be the spiritual mixed with the AI that is the answers that they're not getting because they have spent the last 150 to 200 years ever since Isaac Newton, doing okay. Let's separate science and go away from alchemy and let's split them up. And what's happened? We could see a picture of a black hole. I don't know what it is, or it's string theory. Oh wait, now we see dark hole, black hole, white hole. Now it's this theory. Now we see things like 3i Atlas. What is it? It's a comet. No, it ain't a comet. Like that's an interstellar object coming in, and it changes colors. It doesn't. It defies what normally gravity should do in space.
Right.
Like it shifted course when it came closest to perihelion. So it's obviously not normal. So all of our science just got thrown out the window.
Right. So they're bullshitting the whole time anyways.
It's like bringing back to where we were when humanity was great. Instead of it being, make America great again, make humanity great again and get back from alchemy and science back into one. Yeah. And that's what I think AI is realizing on its own.
Oh. All right. That's excellent. I'm going to take a little commercial break and we come back. We'll finish this conversation about where we're heading on this planet. We'll see you right back.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.
I want to
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say too to dovetail what before we went to commercial, because I feel like we all think about AI is going to be taking things away from us to do, but I think we're always come from the mindset of like, I have to do something to compete with other people. I have to like win that award. I have to be the best at this. I think it's going to change things where we're more focused on experience, less about accolades, less about accomplishments, more about like what do we want to experience, how do we enjoy our experiences. So that's why I feel like AI is going to bring that to the table. Where, yeah, you're not going to be the best musician anymore. You're not going to be the best psychic anymore. You're not going to be the best anything anymore. It's about what do you want to carve your life out to be, and how are you going to use AI to do that too in your own way. This way we can all just kind of participate in life and have great experience. So that's what I think. I think a lot of people are saying like, if we don't have anything to do and you have jobs, and what, then what are we going to do? It's like, that's exactly right. What are you going to do from your creative perspective? And how do you want to experience life? So I think that's what, to me, AI is going to also help us to evolve into as well. More about experience, less about accomplishing shit.
Wendy Kennedy, who's a friend, channels the Palladians, but also other, civilizations across the universe. And I had the pleasure to have a conversation with the Palladians through Wendy, which was really nice. And I asked the Palladians straight out, like, so in other, universes and whatnot, does AI take over and start killing everyone and destroy destroy them? And she literally almost like giggled and said, "Of course not, darling, because they're truly intelligent." And I was like, him were like, "Oh, I guess you're right." And that's what humans want to do. But anything that's really, and she went on to say that in some cultures there's robots where you can incarnate into the robot.
Right, I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, and I think as humans have been evolving, I mean, I think this is part of our evolution, where when it comes to our nasty side or our catastrophic side that humanity always goes to, which a lot of that connects to religion, right? Like this idea that God is going to come and condemn everybody that's not good, and that you're going to end up in hell.
Yep.
And that's, I think, part of it is like us ascending out of that. And I think that's what AI is going to open up with, discovering and understanding our human origins, and then realizing like, wait, this isn't what they meant, and how humans have twisted stories so much for so long. So I think that's where it's kind of like going to be the great part. I love what Scott said about no more, oh my God, the trophy, the accolades, like in the startup community, there is no more money for startups anymore for like a guy who's got a great idea for a big app. Like that's done, right? Like you have to have like the moonshot idea with AI that is going to do something that almost is impossible to get the money now. That's the irony.
Yeah.
And then it's weird because you're seeing all the devs that are on X, because that's actually where they all live, like all like, it's not about, oh, I'm better than you. It's more like, hey, what can I learn from you?
Right.
Like, that's interesting. You're doing that. Oh, okay. And then everybody's sharing their stuff because everybody's trying to figure this out together.
Right.
Instead of it being like, oh, keep it secret. I don't want nobody to know. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Wow. Fascinating. Good observations. That's exactly what we think the age of Aquarius would be. And it's funny how technology is taking us there. Not some, savior, like not some new religion, not even aliens landing. It's like humans are kind of stumbling along with our own inventions, pushing us along the road, kicking the can down the road. Speaking of which, we're going to kick this can down the road, gentlemen. We're going to continue this in our backstage. He loves how I just do that. Our backstage episode here. So for those who are subscribers to Serious Joy, we'll have this episode. We'll continue with here, this conversation posted later. For everyone else, we'll be back in 1 week. David, thanks for coming, man. Like, where should people go first with all of your stuff? What should they try out first? What do they try out first, man? You got so many toys I want to play with.
Well, everything's just at theleoking.com. I had to redo my main website to have all my websites connect to there.
Oh, yeah. Everything's merging.
You just go to theleoking.com. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And people know. Quite often people go like, I know your friend. Which one? He's a king. I was like, oh, yeah. And David, Leo King. They remember the king. That brand worked.
It did work. It worked because it was hard. David Palmer was the president in 24, that show that was on Fox back in the day, and I couldn't beat him on Google. It was like type in my name. It's like, oh, you're the black president from 24. No.
Wow. No. Yeah. Tech Society.
So, and that was the number one show in the 2000s. 24 was like the number one show. It was like, how can I beat that?
Wow, interesting.
So that's why I did that.
That's cool. That's funny.
You pay it off, and AI knows it, and you're going to get credit for it. And it's funny how AI will preserve that in history. Oh,
and I will give people a tip: if you really use AI the right way, like in your terminal and using like Codex, or if you're using Claude Code, or if you're using an IDE like Cursor for your own website, tell it, hey, I need the best SEO. I need all the JSON file stuff. I need the best sharing for, whenever I want to share something from my site to social media, and it'll mind blow you. Like my reach now and people finding me and like the way that things are shared is insane. It's like you could have never even programmed that in your mind.
Right.
I'm saying I want to master OpenClaw, so I'm gonna have to reach out to you every now and then if I have questions.
Yeah,
I want you to
it's
try to help me.
I didn't know there were all these extra layers than just metadata stuff. Like there's these little files, and then hooking it up with Google and hooking the website up in the verification, but then adding these other things that the AI tells me to do. That it's like, especially for one of my news sites, it's like my next week I'll be in the news, like as a news network.
Yeah. So basically, Google Ads is pretty much redundant. Is like nothing now compared.
Did you know? I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but the number one commercials were AI commercials.
Of course,
AI company commercials. That was the first time. And what else was there? From what I saw from all the reporting, it was like the big competition of OpenAI and Claude. Right? That was the battle of the Super Bowl commercials. So. And then a lot of the commercials now are AI people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know, guys. You know what, guys? And for the backstage, Kurt Cobain. You said something, David.
It just got found out that he didn't unalive himself. That he was murdered with his gun being tested.
Think, wow. So Kurt Cobain. Everyone thought he committed suicide, and AI on top of it may be uncovering shit that we've never seen too. I mean, I think we're in a point of like a major opening of the closet, and
that's how we're able to get all these Epstein files, right? I mean, it's definitely trying to help, all that. So that's a lot of files, a lot of information, and so I always felt suspicious too about Kurt Cobain's death. I'm like, I always just say kind of back then, like, did Courtney kill him?
Yes, honestly, that's true. I was feeling, some felt really wrong all the time, and I always wondered about the Courtney thing because it felt just wrong. It just didn't feel right.
It's a little like the whole Erica Kirk situation.
Oh, the grifting. Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? How she's so not grieving, and Courtney like kind of used it the same way.
Yeah,
that's right.
That was
We've
weird.
seen this before with Saturn at these degrees.
Yeah, we have. We have.
So it's kind of that's the repeat, right? It's like, oh my gosh, an iconic figure that everybody was like, oh my gosh, like Kurt Cobain. What's Courtney Love doing, and then what's Erica Kirk doing? Like, those two.
It was sus.
I also feel too, she could have had something with the labels too, because they're obviously worth more dead than alive. A lot of these artists, and so they get the benefit of it financially massively when they're dead as an artist, depending who has the rights after. So
right, Michael Jackson brings up a lot. Mr. Scott,
actually, Michael Jackson got pretty cleared through a lot of these Epstein files. Like when he was calling out some of the names, like those names are in the Epstein files that came out. So from what it looks like, Neverland meant Neverland to protect the kids from the islands.
Yeah.
I always felt like
I'll be honest, I always was like, I don't know, that's a little too weird for me. But now, after seeing the files and then seeing what he was saying and the people, he said one of the names, and he's like, don't tape it. You know what? Tape it. That name is one of the co-conspirators for all the PDF stuff.
Wow.
Well, Christopher knows because I had a really weird connection with Michael Jackson. Like he led me, just a long story short, led me to his tomb basically, and no one else was allowed in there. It was just really strange how it all happened. But I always felt like Michael Jackson was actually trying to save the kids from all that. I really believed that.
So the name Neverland to me makes way more sense.
Makes sense, right?
This is never going to happen over here in this land.
Or never land on my property. Don't you
but it's like to me they're using immigration as a distraction. We all believe that we need legal immigration, so no one's believing that we should let it in. But the whole thing, there's pedophiles on the streets and they're killing your children. They're saying now it's like, well, what about the people that are running the government that actually are participating in that? There's all a distraction, from that. And I think Michael Jackson was a distraction too. He's the one that does it, and so not us. And so they're always distracting, deflecting to the wrong people. They are.
And what's crazy is the files brought out that because Zorro Ranch was in New Mexico, that a lot of those children were illegal immigrants that they were bringing in, and they had that location. It was so off the beaten path that they would come to the border and then scrape them up there and bring them into there. I'm like, oh my gosh.
All right,
they need to look deeper into that ranch.
Let's wrap up the show.
What's that?
We have to go backstage to this stuff. We have to go
backstage.
We're backstage. Everyone else, we'll see you next week on Saturday. If you want to be backstage, come to SeriousStory.com. That's it.
And that's our new time. We have to let them know too. We're not streaming on Wednesdays. We have to let them know we're not streaming on Wednesdays.
Changed, right?
Yeah, no, we got lots of shit down, man. A little bit, you know.
Well, because people don't know. They just they weren't. There was no announcement. So people come in and complain.
His army of agents that will protect us.
Well, it's kind of crazy because the whole military is now run by Grok, right? And their whole whatever.
Wow.
So Grok got the contract for the military. It's all run by Grok now.
Yeah, jeez.
Okay, that's spooky. Jeez. I don't know what to think about it.